I'd never done a drug in my life. I grew up in a very hostile, environment as a kid. My father tried to kill me when I was 5. He was in the USS Kitty Hawk in Vietnam, and just, he came back. He had a lot of, he just liked to party and have a good time. And, my mom and myself were a victim of that, and I had a very traumatic childhood. But, I saw what drugs and alcoholism and all these things, how that affects families. And I've never done a drug in my life. I never, once my dad got arrested for abusing me and put in prison, the cops beat him up. That's why the abuse was worse, because when I went back home after he tried to kill me, the system put me back home. So my whole life, and I wrote a book on abuse, Turning the Page, as well. But my whole life, I've realized that you have to keep your name clean. If you don't have anything to hide, then if somebody comes and wants to do, like I just had an audit of my business in 2016. The federal government, the IRS, they did an audit. I'm a small business owner, and I don't own that business anymore, but I was a small business owner. And they said, well, you owe $5,500, from the audit, but go show us all your paperwork and everything. And, everything will be fine. Just like a regular audit, like any business would have. Well, I'm a small business owner, Michael Bluemling Jr., just me. So it would cost $3,000 to $5,000 for my accountant to do that. Luckily, I had a friend who was able to, he did a lot. I had all the paperwork, so I submitted it. So I got a balance of 0. So look at the financial hardship that would have had on me as a small business owner being audited. But I had all the paperwork, and I wasn't mad that they audited me, because it was just a burden on me because the amount of work that put into it.
It's a hassle.
The point is, if you have transparency, you have nothing to be afraid of. I have nothing to be afraid of. I've never done anything in my life except try to drive good change. But I have a value system and morals. But the people that don't want transparency are people that are criminals and white-collar crime, and that's what you see in Congress. That's the problem.
See, and I ask you this question because I am all about the process. Okay, with IP, it is a process. To echo the words of Simon Sinek, who is a civilian, never served a day in his life, and he talks about the financial crisis in 2008. Now, the military wouldn't necessarily know what to do straight away, but we have a process that's in place. What a lot of folks will do, and they will admit this, my mother retired as an executive out of a very large sector, okay? And she wound up saying, well, that holds exactly true. Civilians will either plan in 2 different fashions. One is when it's prescribed. We're going to our annual planning retreat. We're going to put together our business plan. It's going to be great. Or in the middle of an emergency with their hair on fire, who is the plan? How are we going to do this? As if there's a placard or a card or something that they could just unless you apply a process to it. And that process exists. It's all holding us accountable, including the people who put together the process. And that's what we had when we were serving in the military. Think about, I had the ability to request mass. I could go all the way up to my commanding general if I wanted. You could too. We had those things that were in place. We understood what was expected of us, responsibility-wise while we were there. But it was also kind of nice being like, hey, buddy, stay in your own lane. You don't need to be looking over my shoulder all the time. I'm going off doing my own thing. It's a structure. It's something which the process out there on the table holds us all accountable. And that's why I ask you whether or not being audited as a congressman, you've already been audited. Man, that would grind my gears. I'm not going to lie. I would be heated. I would be a little heated. There's a sign on my front door, I swear to God, that says no solicitors, no government. I'm not even playing around. The pizza guy always gets a chuckle whenever he sees it. It's like, no, leave me alone. I'm a private citizen. I have my liberties. I wish to go do that which I want to do. So long as I'm not harming anybody else, it doesn't matter. Right? Isn't that the whole thing? Isn't that what people always say? So long as I'm not hurting anybody. And it's like, maybe that's a little bit more libertarian than conservative. I myself am a registered Republican and a conservative. I want to shrink the government to about the size of a shoebox so that all of us can stare at it. It's the most dangerous thing in the entire world. More people have been killed due to government than any other pandemic across. They've killed more folks by government than the plague. Okay, that's the other reason that a conservative says, hey, it's all well and good. We have programs, everybody, blah, blah, blah. I'm a person who honestly believes that we have enough non-for-profits that are out there in the world that we could probably take care of just darn near any problem that we needed to as a population of people. I truly believe that. And we've seen it before in the harshest of environments. I mean, you and I have seen third world countries where it's like, I don't even know how these people are staying together. Because it's certainly not the government that's helping all of the people that are staying together. Tribalism, to an extent, is definitely helping those people in the harshest of environments, like Afghanistan. It's like, how in the heck do the Pashtun people actually keep all of this together? And they do have a system of local government with a baseline representation. But who they base that on? America. You know, and
That and survival. I mean, a big part of it is just the human instincts of survival. I mean, you're absolutely right. In third world countries, I mean, they're here in America, people are very fortunate. I mean, that's why we do have the immigration problem, and people do want to come here and they want asylum, they want all these things, but we want to make sure that you're vetted. I mean, an immigration policy that's good for America and the American people, I support 100%. But we
yeah.
need to find out who people are and why they're here.